What took you an embarrassing amount of time to figure out?
That I wasn't, in fact, the family member that best washes the dishes. Yes, I'm the youngest.
When I was like 5, my dad would constantly make the following joke. He'd put his hand on my head and squeeze lightly a couple times while saying, "I'm a brainsucker." What am I doing? After a quick pause he'd follow up with the punchline, starving, but he always stretched out the pronunciation for the word so it sounded to me like starving. For years I thought it was a lame joke where the punchline somehow referred to the fact that brainsuckers were aliens and came from the stars or something like that. I was sitting in class one day and I must have been 10 to 12 years old before I realized, he's calling me dumb. The joke is that I don't have a brain, so the brainsucker is starving. I was at least smart enough to never tell him this because I'd never live it down if he knew it took me 5 years to figure out the joke.
If I were the dad, I would want to know that I was right.
My French press. I owned one 9 months before I realized the coffee grounds go under the plunger and not on top of it. I was always so annoyed having to clean the top of the plunger after lowering the coffee into the water. My girlfriend stared at me like I was the stupidest person she'd ever met trying to formulate how to politely fix this.
How did you keep the grounds out of your mug of coffee?
You pull up and dump in the trash. Minimal grinds.
When I was younger I had no idea that New York and Newark were two different places. I kept thinking people saying Newark were trying to say New York, but had a speech impediment or accent, or just didn't know how to pronounce it.
When I was a kid back in the early 90s I was obsessed with WWF wrestling. It didn't hit me until years later that The Undertaker's manager's name, Paul Bearer, wasn't his real name.
Fun side note, Bill Moody, aka Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer, was a licensed funeral director.
So when I was a kid, I saw this rerun of a prank that the BBC pulled off in the late 50s. It was basically a hoax broadcast they did for April Fool's Day, in which it showed old footage of people picking, or harvesting, spaghetti out of trees. Seriously. For some reason it just never clicked. I spent most of my childhood and my teen years believing it. And I had just never happened upon the subject. I was 19 years old when I found out that spaghetti doesn't grow on trees.
That the trough in our porta potty is for the guy to pee in. I said to my dad one day, "How are you supposed to wash your hands in that sink with no water?" He stood there in shocked disbelief as he explained to me that is where you are to pee. I was probably around 18 when this happened.
My brother talks about a lady he worked all summer. At the end of the summer she said it's so nice how all the porta potties have built-in backpack holders. Edit, she put her backpack in the urinal all summer.
That the saying is, nip it in the bud, not butt.
Horticulture. Bebe.
That my childhood hamster did not, in fact, run away.
Dude, when I was a kid my parents told us our turtle ran away, and I believe it until like high school.
I have worked in a salvage yard specializing in European cars for the last decade. Everyone here calls these very specific type of pliers sob pliers, and not being well versed in tools I just assumed that's what they were called. Took me about 5 years to realize that they are calling them Saab pliers because they find them in Saabs.
Man, it must have been confusing when you overheard someone talking about their tool salesman. He's our Saab plier supplier.
The black market isn't an actual market.
As a kid I thought it took place in dark alleys.
That chickens always lay eggs without needing to mate with a rooster.
I have chickens and people have argued with me about this lol. Like literally I have 5 hens and 0 roosters and I get eggs every day and people argue and say it doesn't work like that.
Before my cataract surgery I thought Hellboy wore aviator goggles. Post-surgery I saw they were remnants of his horns. I always think he's just got goggles hiked up on his forehead, despite having seen the movies with my contacts in.
You can't have your cake and eat it, doesn't mean you can't obtain your cake then eat it, it means you can't still possess your cake after having eaten it.
Oh.
That lambs were the same species as sheep.
Silence of the sheep.
In Lady and the Tramp the humans are called Jim, Dear and Darling. I was in my 30s before I realized that wasn't their actual names, it was what Lady heard them calling each other.
I've been reading my 2-year-old Disney stories for almost a year and never thought about this. I always thought they were super weird names and didn't consider the stories, while not written in their voice, were still written from the dog's perspective. I'm also in my 30s.
I thought that ponies were baby horses till I was like 24.
My 40-year-old co-worker and I got into a debate about foals, baby horses, versus ponies, because he thought ponies were baby horses. I also had to explain that ponies are full-grown, and can birth foals, too. He couldn't believe it, and it blew his damn mind when he realized I was correct. Then, we got started on mini horses. And how many horses can have foals, too? Hoo boy, that really threw him for a loop LMAO. Edit. So glad that I could be able to teach all of you something new, smiley face. Thanks for silver.
That the state Montana is literally the word mountains in Spanish. Didn't realize until I was physically in Montana, staring up at some mountains, and thought, wow. Mountains are so pretty. Montana, oh.
You'll be thrilled to hear about Vermont.
I never understood, a stitch in time saves 9. I was always like, saves 9 what? It saves 9 stitches. It means a little preventative maintenance can save you from needing big repairs. Put a stitch in the cloth to strengthen it, and you won't have to mend a tear down the road. I think it clicked in my late 30s.
9 people nearly lost their lives today when an unreinforced stitch tore in the fabric of spacetime. More at 7.
Took me 22 years to realize that the word sayonara is Japanese and not Spanish.
That ringing in the ears is not a normal thing everyone experiences or a superstition that someone is talking about you. I was 30 when I realized that it is tinnitus, and not normal even though I've had it since I was around 13, too loud music. Edit, in case anyone is curious, it was 8-Ball and MJG's Comin' Out Hard that officially started my life of background noise.
When I was separating from the USAF, I had a medical out-processing, and after the hearing test the tech said, "You didn't hear anything for the last minute?" And I said, "No, just the normal background ringing that everyone hears." The tech looked at me and says, "What?" That day I learned not everyone hears that.
The toilet seat should be down to make pooping more comfortable. My whole life, I just thought it was for people who were too small to sit on the full rim of the toilet, so that's why I never used it. But hey, at least I poop more comfortably now. Edit. Your responses of disgust, curiosity, and hilarity made my night, and I'm glad I could make a lot of you laugh. So to return the favor, I'm going to answer a lot of people's questions on how it took me so long. When I was a kid, my parents showed me how to take a dookie, classic toddler terminology, but I don't remember ever having a potty trainer. But my goofy ass thought they were showing me how to do it **** as a kid ****. So my brain at the time just said ****, you better keep that seat down or else you'll fall in ****. So when I became old enough, I just stopped using it because I thought I didn't need it. I could just distribute my balance by manspreading and I wouldn't fall in anymore because I really can't see how you could unless your frame is just that small. It never really killed my legs, and yeah, there was some straining. But I just thought I had a bad diet or something. And of course when you're grown, it's not really a common thing to have people watch you do your business and vice versa. As far as public toilets are concerned, I just wiped them off before usage because it wasn't one from home. Fast forward to 2 months ago, 25 now. I go to visit my parents and my mom tells me she got a new toilet and was showing it to me. It looked comfy. So I lifted both the lid and the toilet seat to sit down and see how it felt like if I was doing my business, with my pants on of course. When I do that, my mom was thoroughly confused and asked if I always did that. I told her my reasoning in the previous paragraph. After she explained to me, she showed me everything. The rest has been history. I'm not ashamed of it because the thought of it just makes me laugh.
OMG WHAT.
When I was growing up, the family would often do road trips to Vancouver, at least once a year. Just outside Williams Lake, I would always observe a construction site where some sort of log house is being built. It was always half finished. After like a decade, I was maybe 18 and finally made the comment about them still building that place. Apparently they build custom log homes on site and disassemble and ship them out.
That would trip me up as well, haha. Especially if one year the house looks even less developed than last year. I posted this before, but I had no clue that when you got your tires rotated they actually moved the tires from one spot to another. I just thought they revved them really fast to see if they were wobbly.
Greater than I just thought they revved them really fast to see if they were wobbly. Just in case you're unaware, doing this and applying wobbling correction is the balancing of tires, though not that fast.
How to use a staple remover. Until I was in my 40s, I just used the staple remover to bite the long side of a staple and kind of tear it back through the paper. Then someone showed me how to properly use a staple remover by biting the crimped side of the staple to bend the crimp and kind of straighten out the staple again. Once kind of straightened, bite the long side of the staple and the staple will back out the same holes it went in without further tearing the paper.
Too much effort. Will continue pretending I'm a big snake and ripping a hole in the paper with my fangs. Rocky Balboa was not a real person. Think I was 17 or so when I found out he was a fictional character.
That the saying is kit and caboodle and not kit and caboodle. Until I found out the real saying, I always pictures a big basket filled with kittens.
There's a Garfield comic from 1983 where Garfield says that he hates designer sweaters. Then he lifts an arm and says, "The lizard chewed a hole in the armpit." It took me until about 2017 to realize that he is referring to the Lacoste crocodile. I have spent basically my entire life referring to every hole that forms in a piece of clothing as being caused by the lizard, but without actually getting the joke. I thought it was just the surreal, absurdist humor that Garfield is known for.
Greater than I thought it was just the surreal, absurdist humor that Garfield is known for. I guess today I'm now aware that Garfield is absurdist and surreal. I just thought it was unintentionally dumb.
I was 50-ish when I realized that the little piggy that goes to market wasn't going effing shopping.
When you do something wrong but with enthusiasm, and someone says, A for effort, I didn't understand that it meant an A, as in school report card grades. It never made sense because in my head, E is for effort, like C is for cookie. I finally had someone explain it to me sometime after I turned 30.
I say, A for effort, to my kids, and it used to piss off my daughter so bad when she was little. That and, sorry, Charlie. My name's not Charlie. No poo, kid. I named you. She also swore up and down potion was potion and really thought we were messing with her there. She was a funny kid.
K9 stands for canine. Took me 29 years.
The rapper Flo Rida is from Florida.
That I knew. I just didn't know that Flo Rida was Florida with a space. I'm an idiot. I realized a few years ago that cows don't just naturally produce milk, they have to be pregnant, have a calf to produce it. Which is embarrassingly late to figure out.
I learned something new today and I'm a little hurt that they don't naturally produce milk.
Well, they do, but just like any mammal, they only produce milk for a soon-to-be child. As a woman, I should have known this. BC women don't lactate until they have babies.
Segway sounds like Segway.
Make UE for the king.
Found out too late that oral sex wasn't just talking dirty.
That NSFW meant not safe for work. I always KEW it was a tag for explicit content, but it took me too long to learn what the actual acronym stood for.
Before I started using Reddit, I always thought it meant New South effing Wales. Took time to figure out how to relight the pilot lights on my grandmother's gas stove. After grandfather died, I had to relight the gas pilot lights for her whenever they went out. No one showed me how, I had to figure it out on my own. Meanwhile, we had to open the windows because the smell of natural gas was pervasive.
Based on the fact you wrote this post, glad you didn't end up with a rich environment and have a gas explosion.
That the actor who plays Jason Gideon on Criminal Minds is also Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride.
The microwave oven doesn't have to be running for the add 30 seconds button to work.
This reminds me of a story. I needed to microwave something for 50 seconds. So I thought, I'll press add 30 seconds, then wait for it to get down to 20, then press it again for a total of 50 seconds. I'm brilliant. Then I realized.
For about 2 years I thought FTW meant F*CK the what.
That those ridiculous over-the-top dresses exhibited at fashion shows are not intended to ever be worn in real life. They are like concept cars of the fashion world, intended to showcase the designer's creativity and vision.
I spent so long wondering why anyone would ever wear them. LMAO.
When I was younger I thought Feet was a very popular rapper. I.e. Eminem, Feet, 50 Cent, etc. I was like, damn, this feet guy appears in a lot of songs.
Wait till you hear about various artists.
You know how muscles get bigger the more you work them. I was in my early 20s when I learned that penises don't work the same way.
My penis would be quite large by now if the penis were in fact a muscle. Edit. Not because I'm some sexual dynamo, I just masturbate often.
That breakfast actually means breaking the fast.
Okay. Then what does breakfast mean? That you can just twist your deodorant a few clicks to get the little clear plastic safety lid off, instead of clawing and pulling at it till your fingers are raw.
Reading this makes me feel like a complete moron, and I am 40 years old.
Took me 23 years on this earth to figure out that several was not in fact a way to describe 7 of something. Every time I heard it, read it, I thought people were always just being oddly specific about the number of something. Got into an argument with my grandfather about it and didn't believe it meant more than a few until I looked it up. Edit. This is the first ever time I've ever commented on a social media post, let alone read it. Was not expecting this to get this many likes. Glad my ignorance was shared and enjoyed by so many.
I was having a great time at a water park outdoor pool when a woman approached me in the afternoon and whispered in my ear that I had an issue with my swimwear. When I reached behind me, I found a large chasm. My white, untanned ass crack was visible through the fabric, which had been torn straight down the middle. No one said anything to me while I was rushing around like this all day.
Different take on the question, but great answer nonetheless.
The light in the fridge turns off when you shut the door. Opening parenthesis.
But how is the food supposed to see worried?
That the Teletubbies literally had Teletubbies, as in their stomachs were TVs. Figured this out at university.
I need to make some calls.
Alcoholic drink equals hard drink. Soda equals non-alcoholic drink equals soft drink. Soft drink. Duh. Also, jigsaw puzzles are called that because they are made with a jigsaw. I'm 40 and only realized both of these within the last 5 years. Woman facepalming. Edit. 800 plus upvotes. I guess I wasn't the only one.
That less than 3 means heart. For years I wondered what does less than 3 inches mean.
That when more than one person tells you they saw your husband with a woman who wasn't you in his car more than once, it probably means HES cheating on you, regardless of what he says.
The Y in Disney WASNTAP.
I've always thought the D was a backwards G, and even though I know it spells Disney, it still looks like Gisney with a backwards G.
Giznip. Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.